Welcome back to Sports Federation TV, presented to you by the Western Cape Provincial Sport Confederation and Bashes. In the first segment, we chatted to Cape Winelands Q Sport, we chatted to the legends, some of the legends, and now we're moving on to something slightly different. We're going to be talking bridge. Veronica, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Duncan, are you good?
I'm good, Elton.
Good. Thank you for taking time to come tell us about bridge. I know very little about bridge, let it be known. Tell us, what is bridge all about?
Well, you do know something about bridge. You know clabayas.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's something very similar, but just 10 times more in the head. A lot of things that you have to think about. And what it boils down to is logic and a lot of math space with probabilities, stats, and counting, and so on and so on.
But now you're talking to someone who's done maths at standard grade. How do we cope, or now these youngsters that do maths lit? Veronica, how do we cope with all of these kinds of statistics?
Can you add to 13?
Ooh, that's a difficult
Very
question.
important to be able to add to 13.
Oh, is that the only criteria?
And 40. You can add to 40?
I can add to 40, yes.
That's all you need
Okay,
to
so explain this 13 and 40 concept to me, please.
There's 52 cards in the pack,
Mm-hmm.
so that gets dealt out between 4 people. So you get 13 cards each, and they play around and they win tricks with each card. So there's 13 tricks. So you've got to be able to count to see how many tricks you think you can make once you've looked at your cards out of 13.
Sure.
And you've got to count the 40 points in the pack, so that after people have bid, which we'll show you how to do, you can work out how many points are where. And they know that they must add up to 40. So if you know how many points are there because they bid, or how many points are there because they bid, and you know what you've got, you can work out how many points are there. So you can add up to 14, you get up to 13, you can play bridge.
It sounds simple, but it doesn't. I'm not feeling that simplicity, Duncan. What am I missing? The way she explained it sounds simple, but it's just.
It is simple. It is simple, believe me. The other thing that's very important, especially with the young people that we're involved with, is that there's a form of communication that takes place.
Not under the table, knock your feet kind of stuff.
Not under the table knocking.
Okay, just checking.
Not shifty eyes, nothing like that. So, and that is where the bidding comes in. So what the bidding means is that because there's 13 tricks in the pack, you have to now decide according to how many points you have and how many cards you have in each set, like how many spades, hearts, and so on. You have to then, with your partner, try and say, we're going to pick up 8 tricks in this hand that's been dealt between the 4 people. And that's where it becomes difficult, because you now have to visualize, if my partner said that, it means that my partner has, out of his 13 cards in his hand, he's got 5 hearts and he's got 2 clubs. Now if he has 2 clubs and I have 5 clubs, that means 7. Subtract that from 13, then it means between these 2 there's another 6 clubs. Who has got what clubs? And now it becomes tricky, and now the gymnastics of the mind start playing games with you.
But you're supposed to bid silently. So you use this, it's called a bidding box.
Okay.
And this is the only thing you're supposed to use to communicate what's going on.
So in there are a whole range of different cards. What are the cards? So I see there's a pass.
Well, there's 4 suits.
Okay.
That's a very, very important card, which most people don't realize. There's 4 suits. The highest ranking is spades, then hearts, then down to diamonds, and clubs being the least important.
Okay.
But when you look at your hand and you decide, out of the 13 tricks in this hand, I think our side can make so many. And maybe my partner and I have got more points than they have, or because of shape, you think you can make more tricks than they can. Therefore, you then take out a card and start the bidding. Supposing I've got some hearts in my hand, I'll take that out and I'll just put it on the table. Say nothing. Indicate nothing.
So that means 1 trick of hearts.
No, it just means I think our side might be able to make
more
contract
hearts
in hearts.
Okay.
For example.
Ronnie, can I just, when the 1 heart gets taken out, let's call it a benchmark, is always 6. So if I take out 1 heart, it means that I'm taking the 6 tricks plus that 1. I'm going to make 7 tricks if hearts is trumps. And that's
in other words,
what
more than half the tricks, which is 13.
Yeah.
It's just to open, but you say it quietly, and the next person bids, and you only use these cards to bid. You don't speak.
Do you find that there are lots of young people playing this? Because this sounds interesting and opens the mind to a whole range of opportunities, and lends itself to better mathematical skills, better logical skills, better communication skills,
And discipline.
and discipline at schools.
Yeah. Now we have a. I'm glad you touched on that. We have a program in place, and before I got into Bridge, which is about 2 years ago, this school program was already in place by a lady. Kitty Cruz started it all, and at the moment we must have about 50, maybe more students or school children in our program. Some of the schools are Wynberg Girls, Trafalgar High School, and so on, and even out of Kalicha with Falls Bay College. And we have teachers who coach there, or players who coach. And what is happening at the moment is that when the kids leave matric, we try and monitor what they're doing. We want them to start bridge clubs at universities. But what has also struck me, there's this thing that the Western Cape government has at the moment. Is it called Fundlands? Fundlands, where this initiative where they want to close the illegal shebeens, and on a Friday evening, kids can go there. It's almost like a games evening.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
And we're trying to get clubs started in those areas where, especially kids from disadvantaged areas still go there and play something, and maybe that's an added help that we could lend to the young people.
What you're talking about is a project called WAZA.
Okay.
It's called WAZA, which is a whole community sport enrichment program.
Correct.
So on a Friday night, they play a range of different sporting codes in a community to try and decrease the alcohol reduction program. It's linked to that.
Well,
Yep.
this is a teetotal activity. You can't play very well if you're drinking alcohol.
Definitely, you
so
can't think.
people get engaged. They can spend an entire evening getting involved in activity which is harmless.
Yep.
And engages their mind and their brain, and gets them off the streets and out of mischief, doing all the other things.
So what would a setup cost me? I want to start playing bridge in my community. What would it cost
Very
me?
inexpensive hobby.
What's the cost for those cards and
No,
things?
no.
Or how does it work?
When you start,
Yeah.
get hold of the Western Cape Bridge Union, either through Kitty Cruz or you can ask me. It will cost you zero. All I need from you is manpower. That's all. Everything will come in. We will sustain it. We will help you. We will help with the coaching. We'll get the coaches on board. You don't have to pay for anything.
Wow, that's nice. So give me what's the contact details for you guys? Do we have a website? How do we contact you?
Western Cape Bridge Union.
Is that the Facebook page?
No. It's
Email address.
www.wcbridge.co.za.
Okay, so we can just go onto the website and there'll be details there.
It'll list clubs, teachers, contact details, all sorts of things.
Nice.
But there's many levels of bridge. People get to be Springboks and represent their country. We've got lovely stories to tell you if you're interested.
Definitely. That's where you've touched on the next part of where I want to go. So give us 1 or 2 highlights of this past season, 2019. What's come out of, who's made Protea colours, who's represented South Africa, who's travelled the country, who's travelled the world, as we're from Western Cape Bridge.
Okay. Before we get to the higher echelons, I would like to touch on our youth. And there's an annual event, an open event for youth, which is called School Scrabbles. And there's these young ladies from Wynberg Girls. They've started at primary school, first year at high school. They've won this competition 2 years in a row. And I sat down, played against them a couple of hands, and Western Province is now taking them further, where they're being put into an enhanced program because they play like semi-pros already.
Sure.
It's very good. They're about 13 and 14 years old. And then there's also one of my, don't want to call it a pet project, but Trafalgar has been playing about 18 months, and the boys from that school came second in the tournament, and it's a pity I'm losing them. They're going to university, so we've got high hopes for them as well.
Well, the next step is for them to start bridge clubs at university.
That's
Yes.
correct.
That's
But we're also trying to get these girls ready because there's also a junior world championships, and in 2 or 3 years time we'd like to send them somewhere. But then we've also got in the Western Cape Imtiaz Capri. He's one of our top players, and he's a Springbok, and he's told me a nice story how he got into this game, what happened, and so on and so on. And this past weekend we had a Festival of Bridge in Greenpoint, which was a national competition, and Imtiaz and his partner won it, Maureen Runski.
Okay.
Yeah.
So bridge is generally a partner sport. You win a competition as a team because you've got a bidding process that happens, and you've got to have a team.
Yeah, you must
team
be careful
ethic.
of the word team, Elton. You can play as a pair.
Yeah.
You get that competition, and then you can play as a team. Team means that you are 4 in the team.
Okay.
Where you will be playing in bridge we have north, south, east and west.
Okay.
The one pair will be sitting north, south, and the other pair will be sitting east, west against the other team's partners. And a lot of people
Then you compare your scores when they're both playing the same cards.
Okay, I see what
So
you're
you can't say I got bad cards, I
Yeah.
did badly. You got the same cards.
Yeah. So
Playing fields are even, they're leveled.
yeah.
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 So give me one or two of the highlights of this past 2019 year, other than the youth.
Well, Imtiaz winning a tournament.
There were international world-class people there who travel the world playing bridge all the
Nice.
time. People from Sweden, people from Germany, people from Joburg.
How do we rank internationally? Are we on the ranking scale as Bridge South Africa?
They are very good players, and Imtiaz and Maureen and some other Western Cape people are certainly in that bracket. Very good players in Johannesburg, and we rank really well with them. They've just gone to a tournament in the United States where they did really well. I think they got to the last 16 or something. Yeah.
So how do I get selected as a pair to represent South Africa?
There's a long ladder you have to climb.
That's what I want to know. Tell me about that ladder.
Start at the bottom.
Okay, so
First rung.
Yeah. And then how do you obviously play competitions with my partner and
You've got to climb the ladder. There's
Yep.
a ranking system which is online for everybody to see. It's very open, and you've got to work your way up by earning points. And
Okay,
get
so
to
how
the
do-
level
how
where
do
you
I
can
earn
compete for a Springbok blazer. It takes time.
So how do I earn points?
okay, every club competition you play, and there's one and sometimes 2 every day of the week.
Sure.
Well, except Sundays. And you can go play in that, and every time you play, how well you do decides how many points you get, and you can increase those points all the time. And then when there's criteria, you will be trials will come up for essay or whatever, and then you enter for those trials.
Okay.
If your ranking is high enough, they give you entry into the trials, and that's why you've got to just keep on playing and increase your ranking.
Okay. In closing, give us a message from Bridge to South Africa for the festivity period.
Well, they have the Bridge Festival, which is always in Cape Town. It's 3 days. We just had it
Okay.
over that long weekend, and people come from all over the country. People came from Sweden. They came from Germany, and that's a great event to sort of end the year. And I was very pleased that a Cape Town pair won.
Lovely, lovely.
Yeah.
I'd like to say something
Yep.
to our people of Cape Town. Enjoy the festive season from Bridge.
Duncan and Veronica, thank you for your time. We look forward to having you back on the show and bring one or two of the athletes with, bring Imtiaz with, so you
That'd
can
be
tell us
great.
about some of his experiences overseas, and tell us more about Bridge. We'd like to know more.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
We'll take an ad break, and when we come back, we'll see some of the Legends highlights. See you now.